Yesterday I made a video about creating a short story using AI and presenting it in both English and in a foreign language. This is a follow-up video with more prompts happening to create language learning materials with AI. What I want to do is to create, using a small vocabulary, create a story, create a dialogue, and use software to make it listenable so that someone speaks the foreign language and speaks that text so that I can train my ear to listen to it as well. Yesterday I was thinking that I would either use ChatGPT or Grok or some other AI to have experience of listening to a foreign language and having a dialogue with an AI. And I thought about doing that, and I also thought about uh, researching software which is dedicated to language learning. And I think that Langua has a chat bot that I could have had a conversation with. I did do some background reading, and it's good to really know your grammar before trying to have a conversation in a foreign language with a chat bot, and that makes a lot of sense to me. So before I go in that direction, I just want to make sure that I do know grammar and that I have quite a lot of vocabulary. And then when I'm comfortable with that, I would be happier to have a dialogue with an AI. What I could do is create quite a lot of dialogue scripts and listen to those dialogues happening using an AI to turn the text into the foreign language, and then I would feel comfortable with really doing it. The other thing I can do is just imagine a dialogue in my head, but to be able to do that, again, I need to learn grammar and learn vocabulary. My approach to learning vocabulary is it's good to learn a small amount of vocabulary and learn it really well before moving on to learning additional vocabulary. And so you will see how, although I have thousands of words as my vocabulary list, I'm going to take one of my vocabulary lists and reduce it down to a very small vocabulary list. And then I will study that small vocabulary list. And when I'm good at it, that's when I will decide to create new learning materials using exactly the same method as I'm presenting here. In this video, I'm going to talk about a plan I have to make language learning easy for me by using AI. First of all, I'm going to look at Google Translate, where I've typed in a phrase and I've told it to translate it into another language, and the translation is here. It's good in some ways, but maybe there's a particular expression that someone in Poland would use to say the English expression each to his own, and it would not literally be each to one's own, each to his own. So I'm a bit concerned that I could create some English text or passage, get it translated into the foreign language, and then study and learn that translation, but it's not really how someone in the other country would be expressing themselves, they'd be expressing themselves differently. So I would like to use prompts in an AI like Grok or ChatGPT. I want to use prompts which try to encourage the AI to use the type of language that someone in the country would be using. I do like the fact that Google Translate has this button here to say the translation.
Każdy do swojego. Każdy do swojego. Każdy do swojego.
So as long as I produce good text for the foreign language, I could then practice it by pasting it into Google Translate and then just using the listen button.
Każdy do swojego.
Except that that's an English accent because it says English here.
Każdy do swojego. Każdy do swojego.
I am in the Grok AI and I've prepared a prompt for it. I'm going to paste in a big vocabulary and I want it to make a small vocabulary out of some of those words. I paste in my prompt and it has to say OK when it's ready to receive the word list. It's saying OK. At the Memory Bloke web course, there's an article called Picture Dictionary, and I can go to the full vocabulary list by clicking full list, and I can select just the 2-column list. It's got category of vocabulary on the left and then words on the right. The list of words is too big for my study needs. I can only learn so many words all at one time, so I need a much smaller vocabulary. So I've copied this to clipboard, Control C, and then back in Grok. The problem is, if I paste it into Grok, I don't know if it will see the columns. I'll try it, see what happens. No, it can't see the columns. So instead of doing that, I will go into a spreadsheet and paste the 2-column information into there, then copy to clipboard and paste that into Grok. Then I shall click this button so that it will do some work. And you can see the scroll, well, I can see the scroll bar rising. It is doing something. And if I use this down arrow, maybe I'll see what it's done. So that's looking very good. I'm just going to copy all of that to clipboard. And I will paste it into my Word document. Small vocab list 1. And I think I'll use Calibri font name. So that's pretty good. I'm not sure how many words that is, but it's a lot less than 1,000 or so. Now we will look at the tasks I have in mind. So I've prepared my understanding of Google Translate and how I can use it. I've made a small word pool. And then I mentioned earlier when I was talking about um, each to his own in Google Translate, but the foreign language might have its own way of saying something, and I would prefer that to be used. Yesterday, I showed in another video how I can use alternating language lines in a prompt. So if there's something in English, I could have it written line by line with the line beneath each line being the foreign language translation. It's that sort of idea. And in yesterday's video, I asked the LLM to make a story with a constraint so that I could practice a particular grammar area. So story making is going to be helpful for me for practicing language. And I was also thinking about dialogue, because although stories are good for learning vocabulary and grammar, in real life we talk to people. So I would want some sort of conversation involving questions and answers. And I was also thinking a story tends to be, well, should be, I suppose, in the past tense, but we need to be practicing the present tense, the future tense, and different languages have their own way of doing tenses. So I would need a prompt that says, for this particular foreign language, translate the story into its future tense or one of its past tenses. I will start with a story. So please use the new vocabulary list to make a children's story. The story needs to include all of the words of the vocabulary list. And I'm going to make a note of that prompt. Okay. They ran home shouting, "Good morning, knight." I'm not sure this is going to be a best-selling story. And let's see if it's really using my vocabulary list. So, book, pencil, teacher. Are they in there? Book, pencil, down. Yeah, so it looks like it's possibly done the task and done it very well. So now I want to copy all of that to clipboard, store it in my Word document, and then do further work with that story. For instance, telling it in the future tense, translating it into my foreign language, that sort of thing. So I need to do a new prompt, and now the prompt area is on this side of the screen. I've got a prompt here. Please note the name of that story. The name of the story is storyteller. 01 present tense. Now please rewrite the story. Oh, actually that's wrong, isn't it? Past tense. Now please rewrite the story in the present tense. Isn't that clever? It knows to change the title to present tense. Yes, the title of that newer story is Story 01, present tense. Thanks. So let's just grab that onto the clipboard. I think there's a shortcut to copying to clipboard. That thing. Just make sure everything is in Calibri. And I don't need everything in bold. Okay, so one sunny morning, Maya says, "Hello, Max, how are you?" Max, her brother, replies, "Happy goodbye house. Let's go play." They wave to their mother, father, sister, and grandmother. "Nice to meet you, Park," Maya shouts as they arrive. Anyway, it's a story. And it's language practice for me. So we've done present tense, past tense. The next tense will be the future tense. Now please rewrite the story in the future tense. There's the prompt. I'll rewrite the story just to make sure it agrees with me on the title. Okay, so now we reach the translation into a foreign language. I'm going to ask it, please show me the story 01, past tense, because I want to make sure that it remembers it. So in the prompt, paste the request. That's way too much thinking going on. Oh, no, it seems to be okay. And now we come to the translation part. Please translate that story into Polish. Now this is interesting because that phrase "so słychać," trying to underline it, this bit here, that is a colloquialism, or it's how someone would say, "Hi, how are you?" in Polish. So that's good that it's clever enough to not just write "how are you" in the foreign language. So this is looking promising. It's strange that it's kept my English words, but I can live with that. So yeah, quite happy with this translation, and I will copy it and put it into my notes. And I can do the same for the past tense. Please translate that into, please present that in Polish in the past tense. Make a note of my prompt. Blah, 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 blah. I can copy it to clipboard. Next, I want it in the future tense. So, future tense. Paste it in. I now need a prompt that's going to present the English below the Polish. So it would be a bit like this prompt. Paste that in. So there's the English, there's the English, there's the English. Make sure it's finished writing it before I copy it. I guess before I present alternating future, I should present alternating present. Okay, so could you please present each sentence of the story 01 present tense in Polish, and below each line put the English equivalent sentence. I've looked at storytelling, although it was an awful story, and now I'm going to create a dialogue using the same vocabulary list in English, and the people talking are Mike and Joanna, and I imagine a page of writing is over 300 words, so 350 words. I think that's small enough for me to study and concentrate on. So paste in the prompt. Hi Mike, I'm happy. Goodbye to my house. Let's go to the park. Nice to meet you there. Great. I see 10 birds. That's funny. Over there, a lion roars at the city zoo. See the red flowering here? The sky's blue. Please rewrite it in the... I don't know if you can rewrite it in the past tense and still be a dialogue. No, I don't think I will do that. But I will translate it into Polish. Sign up for Super Grok. What's happening there? I will finish off later today. I think that I could improve upon this. I think that when it created the story for me, this story just does not read very well, but at least it's got the vocabulary which I want in it. I think at this point I could have just used my own story writing ability and just change it paragraph by paragraph and just use this as a template for story writing. Then I could write more human-like story and then do all of my translations with it. I also need to see if I can experience that story as spoken text. So I paste in the whole story into Google Translate and press listen.
Dzień przygód mi i Maxa pewnego słoneczny, poranka.
I think that that person was talking too quickly for me. So I will show you Audacity and how this free software can slow down language. I will record me speaking first. This is me speaking quite quickly into my microphone because I want to test the ability to change the tempo, not the speed, but the tempo of the dialogue. I can select it by clicking here, look for an effect, which is to do with pitch and tempo. Change tempo, make it slower by a lot. Percentage change, apply. This is me speaking quite quickly into my microphone because I want to test the ability to change the tempo, not the speed, but the tempo of the dialogue.